All right, good morning, um, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, depending on when you see the video. Today's recording has started. Today we are going to be making what I like to call my super beef stew. It's just going to be a regular beef stew, essentially. So we're going to be using those cuts from the tenderloin that we did up yesterday. I'll throw a little bit of the cheek in. All right, sorry about that. As I was saying, we're going to do beef stew today. It's going to be pretty interesting, and I'll explain the process along the way. When I do this particular beef stew, this is, as you all would say, chef, just being extra. I do some extra steps in it, in the preparation of the beef stew, simply because I want to, and I think it's quite interesting to do it that way. So we'll get our beef out, we'll get some of our cheek out, and we'll begin our preparation in just a moment. I want to make sure that I'm not going to lose power to the laptop. So let me plug that in as well. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to get our mise en place out of the refrigerator as well. So right now I'm just dealing with the meat portion of the mise en place. I'm also going to get our fat. We're going to need fat for this, and I'll explain where this fat came from in just a moment. So here's our fat. This is what we're going to cook in today. All right, so this fat came from the scraps of all the beef that we cut off in the last video that's on YouTube. What I did was I stuck that fat in a pan, and I put that pan in the oven at 350 degrees, and I just let all of that fat melt and melt and melt and melt, and I collected it. I still have that pan in the oven. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here is all of the beef scraps from the cheek, and I've just been roasting this down and collecting the fat that comes off, and I just pour it in here, and that's what I'm going to use to cook with today. Still a little bit more fat on it, so I'll render all of that off, save it for another date. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for, but it's just fun to do because I don't get to do that all the time. But it's also a really nice culinary technique as well if you have the time to do it. All right, so we have some beef here. And I may not use all of it, just some portion of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to season this beef here with some salt, some pepper, show it some love, and I'm gonna roll it in some flour, and we're going to brown it. So here's our garlic. There's our pepper. Here's our salt. we need a wee bit of flour. And some flour. Now we're going to coat this very, very well. We're going to coat this well, so I'm going to put on some gloves. And I'm going to take my pot here, turn it on. And I want to drop some of this beef fat in there. I'll let that melt down. And then we're going to take this meat right here and we're going to put it in with our flour and we're going to brown it. Okay, so what's happening is this flour, we have flour and fat, and we're making a roux and we're browning it off. So that's what's going to be our thickener for the stew, okay? So what's going to be our thickener for this stew, okay? Also, in another pan, I'm going to pan sear our cheek and I'm going to braise it, okay? And then we'll add it to our beef stew as well. Actually, I could kind of do them both, but it's fine. Yeah, I can do it. So actually, I won't do another pan. I'll use the same pan for everything. And now this particular stew is just going to be a meat medley, and we'll add some vegetables later. Okay. Let's get this seared off. You know what? We'll do it in another pan so you all can see it. Let me just take this one out for a moment. Put it right back in momentarily. So we're gonna get the beef in there. I'm gonna brown this up. Then in the other pan, I'm gonna sear off the cheese. Now, while that's going, I wanna prep out the vegetables. So that's going, prep out our vegetables. See what? Oh, well, okay, I'm just peeling potatoes. We're gonna keep this this pot on low. Okay. I want to finish the prep on the vegetables. I'm gonna peel. I'm gonna dice some onions. I'm gonna saute those onions and whatnot off in the bottom of this. So all of that sticky stuff at the bottom will release as the onions and bell pepper release moisture. The potatoes are going to go in closer towards the end to absorb flavor. So like I said, I'm just going to prep these vegetables really quickly. Prep these vegetables. As a matter of fact, once I peel these, I'm gonna put them in a bowl with a little bit of water so they don't turn brown. And then I'm gonna do the onion, bell pepper, some tomato. Now, instead of throwing these potato peelings away, we could turn on the fryer and mix the chips with those. Sometimes we'll, in the industry, you know, you want a little snack and you're peeling potatoes, fry up the skins. They're edible. They're still edible. Potatoes out the way. Get our onion. Now the onion and whatnot can go in at the beginning. Everything else will take you want to be mindful of how we add it. The onion and bell pepper, and actually these tomatoes that I want to put in here can go in at the beginning. Questions so far? Okay, so I've done small diced onions numerous of times. So I'm going about small to medium today. Actually, we're going medium. Sorry. Speak up, speak up. You have on a mask. No, I'm just, like I said earlier, I'm just being a little bit extra. We're making beef stew, so this is just one of those things where I'm cooking everything with beef, okay? So we're cooking everything in its fat. If you do it, if you're making a beef stew and you want to get a deeper flavor, utilize everything, utilize the entire cow for the entire cow. Think of ways you can get other flavor out of that beef, okay? So I'm getting additional flavor because I'm using beef fat, okay? Now, is everybody gonna do this at home? Probably not. Why am I doing this? Because I'm just thinking culinary wise. I'm just thinking extra. What else can I do to beef stew to get more beef flavor, you know? What other cuts of meat are there involved in beef? Now, as I said earlier, there were some bits of Now you see that stuff at the bottom of the pan underneath the onions? That's called fond, okay? So we want to get that flavor out of there. And the way I'm going to get that flavor out of there is cook the onions directly on top of it. The onions are going to release some moisture, and we're going to get that flavor we developed back at the bottom of the pan, okay? And I'm going to throw a little bell pepper in here as well. Just building flavor. My carrots are going to go in closer to the end. I want to cook them, of course, but I'm going to put them in closer to the end along with some mushrooms that I'll saute in some beef fat as well. And again, those will go in closer to the end as well. How's it smelling here? Okay. Just a little bit more fat, not a lot, just a little bit. Butter is a type of fat. Butter is made from actually milk fat. So that's what butter is made out of. So yeah. Let's see if I got any more of that fat rendered off so I can show you what it looks like. Weird. So here we are. That's what it looks like. When it's hot. Very hot. Okay, that's all I've been doing is just collecting that fat. All right, so I'm gonna turn that down just a little bit. So our onions are nice and where I want them. Show you. Okay, they're nice and soft now. gonna add some tomato product to this, some diced tomatoes. Usually I would not use, don't want to necessarily use fresh tomatoes for this. And I'm actually using Rotel. That's just what I bought, but it's tomatoes. They got a little chili in there. So we use 1 can of that. That liquid will also help get that fond, those cooked particles from the bottom of the pan as well. So I'm just going to let it cook out until it's all those particles back up. Then I'm going to add our beef back to it. We're going to add some beef stock to it, some water. We're going to cover with water, add our beef to it, and we're going to let this cook until everything is fork tender. Okay. And again, I'm just using the liquid to dissolve that flavor that we built at the bottom of the pan. Okay. Now I want to put our beef back in that we cooked off earlier, that we browned off really nicely. Actually, you know what? I'm going to chop it up just a little bit more, these bigger pieces. Our cheek, slice this up, cube it up, it's been seared. No, yes, it's still red. We just seared the outside of it. And you know what? I'll sear it just again. What's going to end up happening is the cheek, the loin that we put in is all going to absorb the flavor that is in it. And it's going to be quite awesome. I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be awesome. Uh-oh. Oh, you know what? I forgot to season the cheeks before we sear them with salt and pepper. So let me do that now. That's a good fix. We can fix that now. Would have been much harder to fix that later. So would have been much harder to fix that later. But these are still going to cook. So it's okay, but remember, salt and pepper first. The chef made a mistake, we caught it. Just remember. There we go. Yes. I can't come. Y'all speak up, so I can't hear you. I saw it. I'll get it. Give that a stir. We can't use that piece of meat, but we definitely don't want it sitting there to create bugs. So good call. And not that the meat will turn into bugs, but it will attract bugs. That's what I mean by that. Okay. And then we'll add our menudo to this. Our menudo is actually beef tongue. We'll add that. Not all of it, just enough. Now, do you have to do all this to make beef stew? No. Can you just use beef stew meat? Absolutely. You'll do all of these steps with regular beef stew meat, minus the addition of everything else. That's it. Okay. And I'm just stirring everything around, get everything nice and coated, and we're good. So now I'll cover that with water. Cover this with water and beef base. I think I'm doing about 12 cups of water here. We'll bring that stew up to a simmer. I'm sorry, we'll bring it up to a boil and reduce down to a simmer. We're going to add a table. I want to add 2 teaspoons of beef base. And I'm also going to add some miso paste as well. So this one is going to be 2 tablespoons of miso paste. I'll give that a stir. We'll see where we are on our broth here. Taste it. See if I need to make any adjustments. The only adjustments I can make at this point is adding more beef base or more miso paste. Bay leaf in there. Right now it needs a little bit of salt, but as the sauce thickens up and reduces down, it will concentrate that flavor. So I'm going to let it come to a boil, reduce to a simmer first before I add any more salt to it. And that's it for now. So I want to pause our recording here, and we'll pick up later on today as far as the rest of the class is concerned. The rest of the classes are concerned. I am going to swap out this cutting board. Put our cutting board, and I'm going to do the prep on the vegetables and whatnot, and we'll add those in towards the end. All right, let me stop our recording.